Hello and welcome to another edition of the Bald Watch Modder. And today we'll be using this NH36, really black NH36, and this watch case which I got from AliExpress, which came polished, but I brushed it to make it look better. So I brushed it everywhere except just on the very side of the bezel and the side of the crown. You can see it's been left polished. So I thought that nice little detail that I would leave in there. I've also got these hands from AliExpress. They actually came slightly damaged, not damaged, but a little indent on the loom. But I decided to use them anyway because it took so long to get them in the first place. I couldn't be bothered to, bother send them, waiting for new ones and send it back and all that type of stuff, because of the length of time it took. And we're going to use this canvas strap because I don't really like NATOs that much. It's okay in some watches, but certain things I prefer to use a strap, two-piece strap. So what I'm going to do is use this canvas strap to give it a sort of NATO-y look, but it will be a two-piece strap. And also we've got a aftermarket Seiko dial, which is going to be used to give it that sort of field watch look. So now it's 36 one, so you can see it's got the calendar and date on it. It's a reasonably good one. It's reasonably well detailed, reasonably good condition. Looks pretty good. So the first thing we're going to do is start by removing the correct dial legs, dial feet, so that we can fit it to the case holder, the plastic case holder. Now, this one has got extra legs, so it's just a case of make sure you remove the correct ones according to your crown position. So if your crown's 3.8 or if it's 3, you're going to have to remove the correct dial feet, otherwise it won't line up correctly. So once we're going to done that, we're just going to pop the dial onto the movement, so it goes straight into the plastic. The case movement holder has got little holes in it, and you pop it in there. This one fitted, pretty straightforward, very easily. Then it's a case of just give a little twirl and make sure that everything's moving, nothing's binding up, there's no sort of scratchy noises. Next thing you're going to do is we need to put the hands on. So to put the hands on, what you want to do is put the movement so it's gone to 12 o'clock, so that you could put the hour hand on. So just wait for it the date to click over, and then you're going to put your hour hand on. Now in the video I'm going to put these on pretty straightforward, but what actually happened after the hour hand went on, the rest were a real pain. I mean, the hour hand wasn't the easiest either, but now I don't know if that had anything to do with the fact that they actually came with a defect in them. Maybe they were a little bit not great, but they actually took a lot of work to get these hands to go on. So the first hand, which is the hour hand, that goes towards the 12 o'clock. Once that's on, make sure it's on and secured. And then what you can do is just twist it round to make sure that it's not binding up or anything, not hitting anything, not scratching the dial. Now, this has a little raised logo on it, so you're going to have to make sure that it goes over that logo. So you can look down from the side and just have a quick peek and make sure that it's actually, clearing that logo. Now, I wasn't quite happy with how close it was to that logo, so what I decided to do was just take my dial protector, slide it under, and just pull it just a little bit up, sort of bend the hand just a minute amount up to make sure that it was clearing the logo correctly, because you don't want it catching, because it's going to damage the movement, possibly damage the hand, or stop the time being told correctly. So then what you do is you wind it round. Well, I wind it round now to the 6 o'clock position so that I can put the minute hand on. You can put them on together at 12. I just find it a lot easier to do it with the 12 o'clock, the hour hand at the 6. Just me personally. Now this minute hand gave me a lot of problems. It kept coming off. It wouldn't go on. Now they're normally a little bit tricky, but this one was tricky, really tricky. It's not a watch I'm going to take apart again, because I'm not messing with those hands, or those, if they comes again, those hands go in the bin and something else is going on this watch, because I'm not putting those back on. As I said, it had a defect in it. I do wonder if that had anything to do with it. So just checking that it moves correctly, that they're not hitting or snagging or anything like that. And you know, because we're going to find out now, not once you put the case back together and then you've got to go and open it up again. So I'm just making sure that it lines up correctly, and I believe it does line up all right. If not, you can actually move it a little bit. Now came the seconds hand, and the seconds hand also decided to give me a complete headache. It wouldn't go on, then it would go on, then it would come off, then it would push out. You know, it was a bit really tedious. I haven't shown it because it'd just be tedious to watch as well. But you know, this does happen occasionally. Sometimes when this happens, it's a good idea to scrap it. I found on Vostok's especially, it was very difficult sometimes to get hands to go on. So once you've put the seconds hand on, it's just a little clean up now. Just clean it up now and make sure it's all okay. And then of course the next thing we're going to do, we're going to have to pop it in the case. So we are going to remove the stem and crown that came with it, the one that comes, you know, when you buy the watch. Case was a little bit dirty, probably because I brushed it, although I did keep the back on. You know, debris can get about, so I had to make sure that it was nice and clean before I actually went ahead and put it inside, put the movement inside, because, you know, it's better to do these things now. Otherwise, you're taking the watch apart, you're taking the back off, you know, it just becomes a bit of a headache. And when you start taking things out apart over and over and over again because of silly things tend to not work quite as well. So it's best to get it right first time. Okay, so we have put the movement as it is assembled into the case, and that's going to be a case of getting the stem correct. So we've put the crown onto the supplied stem, and what you do is you put it in, you twiddle it about, don't force it, it will go in naturally, and then you measure the gap between the crown and the actual flute which it screws onto. Okay, and you want to take that measurement, and then once you've done that, you're going to remove it again, because of course you've got to cut it. So it's just a case of pushing down on that little tab, and then what you do is you measure the total length of your crown stem. Okay, and then once you've measured the total length of your crown stem, you're going to mark off the amount that you measured between the crown and the part of the case where it screws on, and then you cut it off. I find it good pair of pliers. It normally cuts off absolutely clean. You can deburr it if you like, or if you're having problems, but I find that just a good expensive pair of pliers tends to cut it perfectly. Then it's a case of test fitting the stem to make sure that it works correctly, because of course you want to put your Loctite on and all that, and then have to go back in and, you know, take it off, wipe it off, blah 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 blah. So use your pliers to hold it. You're going to hold it on the threads that you're not going to use. That way you're not going to damage anything. Do not hold it at the end. Some people do, that's up to them, but do not hold it on the end, in my opinion. Okay, then you feed it back into the case and check that it is going to go in. Now, it's just a case of making sure that it goes in, there's no forcing, it goes in comfortably, you could feel it working properly. I always find it's a good idea just to eyeball the position of the crown on the case before you put the stem on. Okay, then you get a rough idea of how far that's supposed to go in, or when it's correctly sealed down. So the next thing to do is once again to remove the stem and crown, and what you're going to do now is use some Loctite on the threads, a little bit, dab it on, and what this is going to do, this is going to stop the crown hopefully from coming off again. Okay, so you're going to put a dab of that on, hold it but by the threads you're not going to use, and then twist it down. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is just grease the gasket on the inside of the crown to make sure that that is going to be watertight. Because of course, if you're taking the water, you want to make sure that that's going to work, that all the seals are nicely siliconed up. Silicone is not going to affect the rubber of the gasket. Okay, and then the next thing to do is to put the case back gasket on. It's the same thing. Silicone grease that, gets it nice and clean as well. Pop that onto the back of the case. Normally when they're new, it's pretty straightforward. It's only when they've been opened a couple of times that they sometimes can be get a little bit stretched or can be a bit of a pain. But when the gaskets are new, they're normally quite straightforward, needs to put on. Now I used a bit of Rodigo in order to put the case back on because of the style of case back. So just use that to hold the case back, and then a little bit anti-clockwise and then clockwise, and then just twist that down. Okay, then I use the that plastic ball that looks like the black ball on the pool table. They use that design to tighten it down. This will tighten it down perfectly well enough to maintain that watertight seal. Once that is done, one final little check, and everything seems to be absolutely fine. And as you start to get an idea now of what the watch is going to look like, and it's a case of popping on the canvas strap. It is a green canvas strap, which I thought would go well with the style of watch and the black dial, and it was bought from Amazon. They are good quality. I think they're about £10. They may have gone up by now because everything's going up, but they're about £10 and they're good quality. I like them a lot. They're comfortable, used them before. The actual bits of metal on it, yeah, they're okay. They're not the best, but they're good quality. But they're not, they're not chunky or anything like that, but they're good quality. And they've been stitched in there properly, so it's going to do the job. Okay, so we've got the first look at the field watch build, and we're just going to give it a quick clean so it looks all right on camera. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the watch on. I find this case is a very comfortable case, and the strap's very comfortable, and it's light, so it ends up being a nice watch to wear. It's a 40mm case. The reason I've got 40mm case, that you can go smaller, but I find the smaller ones tend to get a little bit lost on my wrist. So I tend to go for the 40mm, 39 40mm. And here you can see it for the first time. I think it looks really good. It's just a basic everyday run around waterproof watch. The case is rated at 200 meters. Take that as you want to take it. But invariably I reckon they'll do it. And every day, jumping in the pool, going out, splashing the watch, you're going to be absolutely fine. So it's a kind of sort of fieldy watch look. Here it is outside, which you can see a little bit better, and I think it's come out nice. It's just an everyday wearer, really. Pop it on, go. If you want that sort of thing, and get that sort of field watch look. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. You're tuned into the Bald Watch Modder. We'll be making more mods pretty soon. Hopefully going to do a GMT watch at some point. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.